Now, moving here has taught us one thing. And that's that when you live in a building like this, in a location such as this, it's a little louder, right? You hear the cars, you hear the hustle and bustle, you see the traffic. The birds are loud as hell. You're in an oven because we got a lot of windows here. And so when the sun hits us directly, it gets hot. There's certain inconveniences, one might say, that come by reaching a new height or obtaining a new level. And as the saying goes, new levels bring new devils. Austin, provide us with a wonderful, wonderful podcast today.
I'll do my best. And I like to say my best is usually pretty good. So when you're thinking about, each of you might have experienced something to where you might have had little to no money before, right? There was times in college for sure where I would literally have no cash in my bank account, spent it all on food or whatnot, ate all the fucking food except a jar of peanut butter. And my friends in college would be able to attest to this. I would come back to the room because the calf would be closed. Again, had no fucking money. I had a fucking spoon, a plastic spoon, and I would eat the peanut butter out of the jar just because I was hungry. Now, a lot of y'all might have gone through similar experiences or potentially worse experiences than that, right? Because at that specific level, that was, those were some of the problems that you would encounter, right? Maybe not having enough to eat, maybe not having the cool clothes, maybe not being able to shower in as clean of a place as you would normally like to. Things of that nature, right? And that was the level that you were at. Now, as we've progressed and increased our likability, marketability, financial status, all that, we have gained a lot. I'm not going to lie and say that we haven't. We have gained a lot. We have achieved a lot. We have a lot more than what we used to have. And we weren't coming from the worst of circumstances. However, I will say that as we increased in our financial status and actual social status, the problems haven't gone away. They've just changed, really. So, like Jose was talking about, right? In our old apartments, though they may not have been as big, they provided a lot of kind of amenities that I liked. Maybe I liked my neighbors more. Maybe the pool was cooler. Maybe the shower and bathtub was better. It was more quiet, all that type of shit, right?
More quiet.
For sure. But we move here, way bigger, prime real estate, views way nicer, have certain things in this apartment that we definitely didn't have in our previous other apartments. Huge fucking TVs, multiple TVs, shit that we don't even, never mind, I'm not gonna keep going. But
what time is it?
Exactly, you can check the clock.
Yeah.
Now, we have all these things in this apartment, right? But there's still things that we encounter that are problems or inconveniences for us. Now, we're not going to say that we're just, whining or complaining about these problems, because we're not, because these things we know that at every level you're going to expect new problems, but that's something that most people don't realize, is that when people look at someone who's rich, they just assume, oh my gosh, they have so much money, their life should be perfect. No. As you increase the amount of money that you get and the amount of status that you get, I'd like to argue you might even encounter more problems. They're just different than the ones that you used to have. It might not be a lack of money. It might be you might have too much. And when I say too much, when you have a lot of money, it's hard to hide that you have a lot of it. And if you can't hide it, people are going to come from every corner asking you for money, asking you for this, asking you for that. Those are new problems that you're going to have to deal with. And in your head right now, you might say, oh, that's not that bad. But then wait until you encounter it. Because I've encountered it multiple times before where people that I was cool with or that I am cool with saw that I was doing better in life, and they would come and ask me for money. Now imagine having to tell someone that you love or care about that you can't give them money because you know what they do with it, or that you have things that you have to spend money on, so you can't just give them excess cash. Or imagine giving them the excess cash, them blowing it, and then them continuously coming back for more. These are things that you're going to have to encounter as you gain more financial ability and maneuverability in the world, and also more status. These are things that most people don't think about. But just because you increase in levels doesn't mean that your problems go down. It's actually the contrary, in my opinion.
And something that I think is very apparent that not a lot of people consider when they're in the process of trying to achieve something or achieving something or just getting to a new level is that the more things that you have, the more maintenance that you have to do. If you have more money, the more you have to manage it. You have to become better at managing that money. If you have a better physique, if you level up your physique, you have to diet better. And now you also have to better your exercises and your workout routine and your recovery. If you have a nicer car, well, now you're fueling with premium gas.
Yeah.
You're no longer just using regular. And nobody uses the middle grade. That's just outrageous. The more of anything that you obtain, the more that you have to maintain. And it's very simple too. If you have connections now and you get a new level of connections, now you have to keep tabs on your connections. You got to touch base. You got to keep them fresh. You got to keep them familiar, because everything can dwindle. So the greater your network, the more events that people are going to invite you to. And depending on where you are in your career and where you fall in this network, you might just have to be attending more events. Not only did you make the sacrifices to get that network, not only did you make those sacrifices to be where you are, but you have to make even more sacrifices to maintain it and to leverage it and make the most of the situation. And in some cases, that new level, you might characterize this additional maintenance or this additional input or this additional requirement or whatever you would like to coin the term as a new devil. We are in a nicer place than we previously lived. Very true. But there are certain aspects that we have to deal with in order to be there. And it's just a matter of learning to dance to the rhythm of that new environment or that new level that you're in. There's an analogy that Bedros Keuilian uses, and it's that life is a series of ascents and then plateaus, and ascents and then plateaus. And as you're ascending to the next level, there's a bear. And so in between each level, you're fighting off and fending off a bear. And that's the quote unquote, the new devil. You have to overcome that devil to have a degree of stability and comfort at that level. This could be, for example, having to lose your nice little morning routine where you do your red light therapy, your sauna, your cold plunge, your little morning meditations and affirmations, because you're so busy in the mornings. You're making phone calls, you're responding to emails, you're making sure that everything is where it needs to be, and you don't have the time to do this. That could be the new devil, and you have to learn how to play and adapt to that scenario because it's no longer a possibility. It's not feasible, it's not realistic, and it's not beneficial. You have to change if your environments change.
Very true. And you mentioned something is like, when you get a better car, you're going to have to put better fuel in it. When you stay at a better place, you're going to have to pay more in rent, right? So really, it's give and take. You have to assess what you're more okay with. Because again, people have the misconception that when you achieve more success and get more money, that all your problems are going to go away. No, they're just going to be different. And you have to choose which ones you're okay with. Currently, you might be living a nice, modest life. And there's a lot of things that you don't realize that are actually pretty nice or pretty beneficial to you in the moment. And though you may want some more things, some more money so you could do, more shit, buy more shit, take care of your family, that also comes with new and different problems that you're going to have to assess. So you're going to have to put together potentially a list, of pros and cons of really achieving the success that you want. Because it's not all sunshine and rainbows when you get there. It's a lot more work and a lot more shit that you have to do than you realize, right? Because a lot of people are like, hey, I want to be rich so I can take care of my family. But at the same time, you don't realize that the more you do, the harder you work, the more money you get, the more you have to maintain it. You have to realize that that's going to take time away from your family, the thing that you want to take care of. So if you want all that success, you being able to spend as much time with them probably is going to be a little bit lacking because you're going to be working a lot. However, when you don't have as much money, you have probably more time to spend with them. So it's all about what you really want, what you're really okay with, having or not having. You have to make that decision for yourself because nobody's going to live the life that you live but you. And when you go to sleep at night, you have to realize that these are things that you're willing to sacrifice or that you're willing to do to get the things that you want. Because new levels, like Jose said, bring new devils. And this is, an instance of this where you have to realize that shit is not going to be how it used to be. And when you get to a new level, people often like to look back and try to apply the same rules that they used in the previous level to the new level. More often than not, that's not how it's going to work. So the things that you used to do at level 1 probably aren't going to benefit you that well in level 2 because there are new things that you have to fucking deal with. New, occurrences that may happen that you never even knew about. So you're going to have to figure out a way to adapt to those. So when you're thinking about all this and you're trying to decide what you want to do in the life that you want to live, it's a harder decision than what you think. And that's something, again, that we had to make at a pretty early point because we knew slightly that when we got to where we wanted to get to, it comes with a lot of things. And most of those things most people think that they'd be okay with, but they're not really going to be okay with. And we've even had people say that they'd be willing to go on the ride up with us and that they would be okay with it. And they weren't okay with it because it's the devils that you deal with up here are very different than the ones that you deal with down there.
Well, that made me think of a spin on the saying. Rather than saying new levels bring new devils, in reality, it's just new levels bring new opportunity costs. They have new opportunity costs. When you go higher, you want to level up your family circumstances. You want to increase the financial well-being and create generational wealth and make the life easier for your children than you had it. As you mentioned, you're going to have to spend less time with them. It's just that simple. That's the opportunity cost. You're taking that time and converting it into a monetary value, which then again turns into buying time back for your children and allowing them to have an easier pathway than you. When you get that new car, that Lamborghini Huracan, and you're driving it down the street and you're being a complete asshole, just shifting gears, making a hell of a lot of noise. Everybody's looking at you, right? You're drawing people's attention. Women are attracted to you, but by the same token, men are envying you. That's an opportunity cost because when you get to the gas station and you pay almost $200 to fill up the damn car, and then one of your maintenance lights comes on and it costs you $5,000 to do a simple repair on a sensor that you just had no idea existed, that's the opportunity cost. Sure, there's always a positive side, but you have to be prepared for the negative side of any coin. Every new scenario and everything that you're dreaming about has a side that you haven't evaluated and you haven't looked at, and you have to understand that side is not what you anticipated. And that's exactly what you're signing up for. That new opportunity cost. That's why when people go from I'm trying to do something to actually doing it, that's why it takes them by surprise. Wow, this is hard. This not socializing, this not being on the social scene, this not drowning myself in alcohol and drugs or pornography or whatever it might be, this not being able to just talk with people and hang out and have a weekend off and go to the park and swim at Barton Springs or go on fucking Lake Travis on a boat. It's hard. It feels so weird. There's no outlets. You have to find a way to self-regulate. Y'all have been doing this for how long? And you do it at an even more intense level? Yes. You know, I said, Ant Edwards, there was an interview where he was talking about how Steve Kerr told him, you're not working hard enough. Back before he was drafted. And he said, if the Warriors had the number 1 pick, I wouldn't draft you. And Ant was like, I'm giving it all I got. I don't have anything left in the tank. And then Steve was like, let's go have dinner with Steph and Clay. They went and they had dinner. They didn't even practice. And Ant went to his trainer and he was like, all right, we got to level up. We got to do something. He's like, I don't know what it is, but we gotta go to the next level. And that's just an example. Like, you might think that you're doing everything, and you might be like, man, the new devil is that I can't break through. But you truly have no options left when you believe that you have no options left. Because when you think that there's nothing else that you can do, that's exactly when you need to find something that'll help you break through.
And I love the ant reference, by the way. I didn't even know that you knew about that, of course. But, you know, you surprise me all the time. But,
hey, man.
So, we said it multiple times, new levels bring new devils. But the same level, in my opinion, brings comfortability. And that's exactly why people like to stay at the same level, because it's comfortable. They know what to expect from that level. At the nice kind of middle class life, besides the recession or inflation, you know, on a, you know, kind of semi-regular basis, there's no outliers. It's not a lot of fluctuation. It's a lot of this. And you get used to this. You get very comfortable with that. It doesn't take you by surprise, right? But when you try to encounter or go upon these new levels, right, there's a lot that you see as positive that could happen, but there are a lot of things that you don't know. So the new levels for most people are very scary, and a lot of people don't get them. It's like, why do you want to continue to keep, you know, going up in levels? All this shit, I don't even know what's going to happen at that level. I don't know who I'm going to meet. I don't know what I'm going to be forced to do or the money that I'm going to be forced to spend, all that type of shit. You don't know. So when people are thinking about new levels or the same level, a lot of people choose the same one because it's just shit that they're fucking used to. But one of the things that we hopefully have been able to impart on you all is that once these new levels happen, you may not know exactly all the things they're going to encounter, but you're wise enough and hopefully adaptive enough to where you can figure it the fuck out, right? So with these new levels, they bring new devils, they bring new opportunities, but I would rather take that on as opposed to just living this same life for my entire life. No fluctuations, no uncomfortability. And the thing that we say pretty often is you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And as you progress to these new levels, there's going to be a lot of things that make you uncomfortable that you're going to have to get comfortable with, but that's also what helps you strive and keep going and keep leveling up, is the ability to be comfortable with those uncomfortable circumstances, is the ability to deal with the little inconveniences here and there, because the little inconveniences that you deal with here and there on this level builds those calluses for your body and for your mental that let you deal with, or helps you to deal with, the bullshit at the next level. So you have to get out of that room where it's so comfortable for you, with that nice little bed where it's so comfortable for you, with that nice little job where it's so comfortable for you, if you want to level up. And as you progress and go through hard shit, go through shit that you wouldn't normally go through, it prepares you to fight those new devils at that new level. And it's easier to go into the new level with a tool belt, with an arsenal that you've built up, as opposed to trying to go to that new level and you're just so used to experiencing the comfortability that you normally have. It's like going into a war with a pillow and a blanket as opposed to a shield and a sword. You go into that war with a shield and a sword, and the shield and the sword is only given to you once you put yourself through those tests. You learn how to fight here, you learn how to fight with this, you learn how to defend with this. Then it allows you to go into that battle with all the tools that you need to in order to have some success. But if you're too comfortable and you're used to going through life being comfortable and you think that's going to level you up, it's not. And you're not going to fare well on that next level if that's something that you're trying to, fight in. Because, again, we're out here with a sword and a shield. You're out there with a blanket and a pillow because it's comfortable for you. Get the right tools for the new levels, and you'll be able to slay those new devils.
Just as my man Future says, bitch, don't get too comfortable.
You did say that. You're right.
The 𝐒𝐬𝐀𝐘 podcast.
Sign out.
Mic check.
The AM Club podcast.